Hi folks, welcome to my channel. Before we get started on today's video, I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of my returning viewers, subscribers, and especially my members. It's the support that I receive from you folks that really keeps me going, and I just want to say thanks. Thanks for being here. But if you're new here, hi, welcome. I am an American living in Germany for a long time now, and a couple years ago I found out that I had an acoustic neuroma. That's a rare tumor that grows for no reason at all on the nerve that transfers data to your brain, the data that you hear. Mine was removed in August of 2017. That stupid tumor left me with some issues, some disabilities, and not really sure if they're permanent. Well, I'm deaf in one ear. That's permanent. That's not going to come back. But since tumor removal, there's been signs of improvement. For example, in migraines that I get, they're much less now. And vertigo, the balance issues I had. My experience with vertigo, I would say, has definitely been fluid, like since this tumor got taken out. As I film this, I still have vertigo, balance issues, but over these last few years, it's changed. But anyway, I thought today it was about time that I gave just a general update on where I am right now in my acoustic neuroma journey. But more importantly, I thought I would just touch on some of the things that I've faced that I didn't expect. And as usual, I will place this video in my stupid tumor playlist, where you can find more videos about my experience after having an acoustic neuroma. And if you also happen to be a fellow acoustic neuroma warrior, please say hi in the comments. It's not often that we get to meet each other. This tumor only hits 1 in 100,000 every year. And that being said, before I get into this, I always feel a need to express that if you happen to have found this video or my other acoustic neuroma themed videos because you have just been diagnosed with this tumor, or maybe you're waiting on your surgery, but you're in that beginning process, I want to make it very clear. From the research I did, most people nowadays, they find, if we're talking about this specific tumor, it's found generally pretty early, and it seems most people come out with little to no issues. I believe the most common is hearing loss or a ringing in the ear and a little facial paralysis. I think that I got hit a little bit harder because my tumor was in there a long time and it built itself around a lot of stuff. My doctor estimated, once he cracked my skull open after the surgery, he told me that tumor had grown around everything. All of the nerves that lead to my face. It had crushed my balance organ, and it was starting to touch on my cerebellum. I had ignored symptoms for years. Don't be like me, kids. So I just want to say that because it is not my intention with these videos to frighten anybody, for example, that is early on in this acoustic neuroma journey. My purpose of these videos was hoping to reach some of the people that have been going through this, and if they are having a hard time or encountering weird things, maybe I have too, and maybe they won't feel so damn alone when they hear somebody else talking about what they went through. Because I know I often felt alone dealing with a lot of this stuff. So if we go back to where it all started for me, it started for me really on a early Saturday morning. I was getting up for work. And as I went to get out of bed and put my feet on the ground, I thought to myself, oh boy, I drank too much last night. Only I didn't. But that's what it felt like I was hungover, even still drunk. But I proceeded to work. The balance issues didn't stop. Once the MRI was done and the tumor was found in my head, well, its placement on my balance organ explained why I was walking so funny. I still sometimes walk funny. But before the surgery, when I think about the appointments I had, and if you're going through this, you know you got to meet with specialists, ear, nose, and throat doctors, even neurosurgeons. I had a fantastic surgeon that spoke perfect English and was able to explain to me everything in basic plain English. So the things that they will tell you that you should be aware of, that you may encounter once they open up your skull and go in there and take this tumor out, they'll tell you that there's some very realistic chances of some things occurring. Facial paralysis, for example, because the tumor grows on around on those nerves. Tinnitus, even deafness in that ear if that area has been damaged by this tumor. Even balance issues. One can be left with some balance problems because of the damage to, again, that whole area here. And so with this information that I gathered, honestly, while I was still a little bit in shock, a little bit still processing the fact that I had some rare tumor growing in my head and starting to touch my brain. So I'm just saying I was processing a lot of stuff. But nonetheless, I had listened, and therefore I wasn't surprised when I woke up from my surgery and realized right away that half of my face was hanging. I couldn't even close my left eye. It's much better now. The improvement is very slow moving in that area, but I still think there's room for improvement. I still every once in a while have little twitches and just noticing millimeter-sized changes. Honestly, right now, I'm happy. I'm fine that my face is a little bit more symmetrical, but more importantly, now, as opposed to right after my operation, I can hold food and drink in for the most part, and I can close this eye. That was so annoying when I couldn't close it. Right, but concentrating on the things I didn't expect. The first one I want to mention is the variety of sensations and pains in my skull area. And if you happen to be watching this video, and if for any reason you ever had a surgery on your head where they opened you up, and you can relate with this, and you can explain to me or got a theory on what it is, please leave a comment. Because no one mentioned to me pre-surgery that after the surgery, I would be able to, for example, feel the hair follicles, like literally where the hair attaches to my head. And when I say feel, I mean sometimes for whatever reason, like even just combing my hair, or it hangs one way for most of the day, and then like I push it back, that pushing it back hurts. That combing it hurts. And it's not a constant thing. The only thing I can figure is, I don't know, when they opened it up and they peeled it back and maybe where the follicles are trying to connect, I don't know. But I did not expect the weird head sensations like that. But that's not the only one. I suspect some of the other ones I've had are just nerves reconnecting. So they cut me from about here to, I can feel it, to about here. So like this. They cut me like that. And right after surgery, that whole area was numb. Like I remember being surprised that I didn't feel it when they came and took all the staples out. It was numb, that whole area here. But as time went on, I think the first time I started noticing weird, like I would describe them as tingly feelings, but also what felt like kind of stretchy, kind of slightly painful, not enough to make me cry or anything, but weird feelings that are hard to describe to people in this whole area. I would say like 1/4 of my head, like this whole area. And as the years went on, those feelings changed. And when I would bring them up to doctors, like I never really got information. I would just like attempt to describe them to them, realize I sound like a weirdo because I can't properly describe to the person what I'm feeling. And I would volunteer, I think this is just the nerves and everything connecting. And pretty much the doctors would be like, oh yeah, probably. But yeah, really, really strange variety of head pains I've had. The word headache is not so simple for me anymore. You want another thing that I didn't expect? Anxiety. Anxiety connected with being partially deaf. So I'm deaf in this ear, but that's not all. The bonus is I have a constant loud ringing. It's constant. It's very much a distraction. The first surprising with the partial deafness was the way that I actually found out I was deaf. Now, you see, they did warn me this could happen. Big tumor, It was in that area, just growing around and destroying things. But right when I woke up, still in intensive care, right after my surgery, my doctor was there, and he had said to me that he thought he preserved that nerve. He thought that good chance I will have hearing. That was really nice to hear as I was waking up from the surgery. Fast forward to, I believe, 2 days later in the hospital, dealing with migraines each morning. I am so glad that has long stopped. But it was like 2 days after I woke up from the surgery, I'm in my room and I realize I can't hear the television, you know? In the rooms you get those little things, controls, you put it on your ear and you can hear it, and therefore you're not bothering the other person in the room. And I was like sitting in my bed and going like this, and going like this, and going like this. And I was like, I'll be damned. I am deaf in this ear. I found it kind of strange that nobody was interested. I found it kind of strange that nobody in the hospital was interested that I had just discovered that I did in fact have a new disability. It really surprised me that nobody in that hospital felt the need to inform me about my new disability and like what it could mean, what it affected. I didn't know what it meant to be deaf in one ear. And it surprised me how much time it really took me to really understand what this disability meant for me in my life. Being deaf in that one ear, so essentially I have a block here of anything coming at me. And then on top of it, a loud noise that is very much a distraction and gets away of what I'm trying to hear from my one hearing source. The part that surprises me is like it took so long for me to figure out, for example, I can't tell where sounds are coming from. I'm just saying that would have been useful information for someone to have told me in the hospital. I had no clue about that. Now, when you can't tell where noises come from, what this has meant for me, what surprises me, and not in a good way, is I am often scared. I am shocked multiple times in a day by the stupidest things. I'll put it like this so you can understand. You're walking down the road and, a big clanky tractor trailer drives by, and as it hits a pothole in the ground, you hear the clank, 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 clank. But you have both ears and you've done this walk before and you're on a road and in that direction is heavy traffic, for example, tractor trailers. And so you don't even think twice or concentrate on the banging noise that occurs because your brain already registers came from road area, it's a truck, it's not a danger, anything like that. I knocked my maracas over. But I am faced with constant, my body reacts with, what the hell was that? I can't tell you how many times something just fell in my apartment here and I can't figure out what the hell it was. Like something simple like a book falling off a shelf. It gives me a mini heart attack. This block on the left side here, because I can't hear, for example, somebody coming at me, I can't tell you how many times I felt like I was having a mini heart attack standing at like a stoplight or something. Suddenly there's somebody too close to me and I didn't hear them coming. Yeah, so that stuff surprised me. Another thing I didn't expect that really surprised me, still very much frustrates me, I still very much battle with it, is exhaustion. Pre-tumor, I was somebody that was the definition of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. High energy, needed little sleep, could go. And since this tumor got taken out, it's really surprising me that even this many years later, I am often exhausted. So one thing that leads to the exhaustion is clear to me that I am constantly dealing with vertigo. Sometimes it's worse, sometimes it's not so bad. But, for example, my body and my brain is basically constantly working a little bit overtime when I move. Sometimes that vertigo, that unstable feeling gives me like horrible nausea. And even still right now, like behind my eyes, similar to like a migraine. But for me, the migraines have stopped. I hope. Like, I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to curse myself. But I was having them pretty bad for a while there in the beginning. And I would say recently, last few months, huge improvement. Little to no migraines. But nonetheless, what I'm getting at is when I'm having like a vertigo, a little dizzy spell, like behind my eyes, hurts to look at anything. And I think my body coping with that stuff, even if it comes in like little spurts throughout the day, it's exhausting. It really upsets me, frustrates me, and still surprises me how no matter what I do, I end up exhausted feeling. Like, I'm specifically using that word exhausted because I'm not just saying I'm like a little tired, but I'm like, I feel really like worn down, like I ran a marathon. And I am trying to keep active. I try to keep doing things and living my life, but I have to be honest. On days where I try to do stuff physical, I will be in bed by 8 or 9 o'clock at night latest because I will be exhausted. So at this point in my recovery process, I have learned I have no choice whether I want to or not. I have to take breaks. So if I decide to do a walk through the old part of the city where I live here, what used to be like maybe a 15-minute walk for me will look more like I walk for about 5 or 10 minutes and then I find hopefully a spot to sit, or a tree or a stoplight or something to lean against just for a little bit. And then maybe after like 5 or 10 minutes, I get up and I can walk again if I'm lucky, maybe for like another 10, 15 minutes, but then I need to take another break. And I repeat myself again. When I do things like this, I'm dead tired by the end of the day. In moments of weakness where it's all too much, the one phrase I scream out way too much is, I can't do anything. That's just not true, but that's how it feels sometimes. I get really frustrated because I feel like anytime I try to do something, I don't know, I tell myself that I'm failing because I'm not doing it like I used to. And that would lead me to the next thing that surprised me. Honestly, it surprised me just how hard of a time I am having accepting my disabilities. When the doctor went down the checklist with me, and also I did my own research online, I knew pre-operation, there's a good chance I could come out of this. I might walk funny, I might look a little funny, I might not hear right, but I thought, I can deal with that. I'm strong. I am. And I also think there's a lot worse or harder to handle things that could happen to somebody. So in a sense, I'm telling myself, don't be such a pussy. But honestly, regardless of what I reflected on the outside, if I keep it real, I have had a really hard time adjusting to being disabled, but most specifically just accepting it. Like I think I spent like the first 6 months to a year with the mindset of, I'm just going to get better. Any day now, this is just going to get better. Whereas now, finally, I'm at a point where I can consider, okay, it's looking like, for example, this dizzy, nausea, headache thing. Maybe it's going to come in waves. Maybe I'm going to have this forever. I need to figure out how to live with this. I need to figure out how to adjust schedules and plans with it. But it really surprises me how hard it was for me in here to get from there to here. To get from, I'm just going to heal. And then, why aren't I healing? Why aren't I getting better? And then ultimately, all right, Armstrong, you need to accept that some of these things might not change, and it'd be a good idea to learn how to live with them. That's where I am now. But I felt it was important to mention, just in case there's somebody else out there that she doesn't have to be this stupid rare tumor that I had. I know now, never thought of this kind of stuff before, but I know now that going from being, let's say, able-bodied and then picking up a disability out of nowhere is quite a life adjustment. And in that situation, I am really thankful that I have a damn good psychotherapist. If you find yourself in a situation where from one day to the other your body completely changes, your abilities to do things completely changes, trust me, you're going to need someone to talk to about it. I am so thankful that I live in a system where I can do that. Thank you, Germany. One thing that surprised me that I'll actually label as good is the fact that I now sleep like a baby. I don't know why, like some of the issues I deal with my new disabilities, I can't explain to you why exactly. That sucks. But the fact is, since they took this tumor out, pretty much anytime I, for example, go into my bed and I lay down, within 10 minutes I am out cold. And that's not the genius part, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you something. The genius part for me, what I consider a gift, perhaps the only gift I received from this rare brain tumor, is that I am now, post-operation, I sleep like a baby. I have never had sleeps like I do now since they took that tumor out of my head. You need to understand how valuable this is to me and why this is a gift, because again, going back to me being like an ADHD personality, I needed max 5 hours sleep. I would wake up every morning like my battery was recharged, literally jumping out of my bed, but also secretly crawling out of my skin. It's not comfortable being like that. But sleeping before was not really my thing. I didn't need much of it. And napping before never would happen. My body was not good at finding rest at all pre-tumor. But for some reason, since they took this tumor out, I sleep like a baby. I've spoken with my doctors because it's like, it's too good. I thought maybe there's something wrong. But I've been assured repeatedly that this is just my body needs to still heal. And it also is making a lot of very subtle adjustments during the day when I am up and moving. And it makes sense that my body is just going, but boy, that really does still surprise me. And I feel a little bit like, wow, like I really feel like that is a gift I received. So at least I got that one good thing. I mean, quite honestly, this could just be karma. I needed to learn how to rest, and I needed to learn how to take care of myself, because those were two things I was never good at doing. So yeah, those are some of the physical, mental things I experienced since having this stupid tumor removed, and specifically the ones that surprised me, the ones I didn't really expect. And because this tumor is such a rare tumor, this is why I wanted to talk about that. This is why I talk about my issues here, and I created 2 playlists in regards to it. Because when I started going through some of the weird things I went through, it's like I felt like I had nowhere to turn. This tumor hits not just only 1 in 100,000 people every year, but it also hits each person a little bit differently. Depends exactly where it is, depends how big it gets, depends how much stuff it grows around, how much it damages. It's clear now to me all of my issues are because I ignored symptoms for years. But once I started having issues, I was really frustrated that every time I went online, I found people doing better than me. So on the chance that you've dealt with this stupid tumor, or maybe not even necessarily this, maybe you've just had something similar, I would really appreciate you leaving a comment. Share what you wish about your journey, because I know there's other people just like I was right after this tumor, sitting there just trying to find someone else talking about going through what they're going through. It really makes you feel alone dealing with this stuff, including, when I would go to doctors, and just how many doctors would have no clue what to do with me. For the last few years, I have often been surprised. It's really surprising to me how long a lot of this took, that it took like a year before I could even close my eye, that even 2 to 3 years later, I started 2 to 3 years after the surgery to see some movement here. That blew me away. But I just wanted to make this quick little video, hoping to reach a few people that also have dealt with this stupid tumor, but also the curious. You curious folks are welcome here too, of course, always. As far as my own personal progress, I am happy to report I see improvement. As I already stated, the migraines that I fought with for a while in the beginning have almost completely disappeared. And it seems right now what I'm really battling with is My vertigo that for a long time was always around the clock, like I'm on a boat, now is like it's coming in waves. Like, and I feel it coming on. I feel it coming on, and it's a horrible feeling. I'll feel it here, and I feel it here, and I just kind of go, ugh. And I had it the other day where I was on the phone with somebody, and this feeling just started to come over me, of feeling nauseous, feeling dizzy. Not quite dizzy, but feeling something funny behind my eye, and it's only then I realized that if I try to move, yeah, boom, I bang my elbow. But what I'm saying is I was on the phone with somebody, and this was starting to occur, and I realized I also lost my train of thought. Like, all I can do right now is just when those moments come on, I just try to make myself comfortable, and I just kind of deal with it till it passes. If I'm lucky, it passes, and I don't really have another really bad one unless I start doing physical stuff, or up and down is no good. But as it is now, and as it's been for, I'd say, the last few months, if I am getting these vertigo spells often, well, then I just have to call it. And call it means I have medication. I have pills against nausea, and I have pills against vertigo. I try not to take them because when I take them, I am in bed. My day is over. I'm not getting anything done. I'm sleeping like a baby. But I feel like recently they've been less, and overall I feel like that's a good sign. I feel like any of these little changes that I'm seeing, from my face to my balance to the nausea, the headaches and stuff, I feel like it's a good thing. I don't feel like it's a sign of anything being bad or anything like that. I just noticed these pants are coming down. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I guess that's going to be it. That's going to be our video today, going over some of the things that surprised me after having an acoustic neuroma removed from my head. As usual, I do thank you all for being here and watching. I really thank you for all your support. Please don't forget to click like, and if you're new and this is something you're curious about, consider subscribing. I talk about a variety of themes here on my channel, and I try to support those themes out by playlists. I do hope to be coming at you soon with another video, but folks, until then, take care of yourself.